Hi, I'm Mark Loux, Extension Weed Scientist at The Ohio State University. I'm standing in some of our research plots at the ORDC Western Ag Research Station. It's the first week of May 2017, and we were out spraying some of our Burndown plots this morning. We've got some, I think, bigger than normal Burndown situations for this time of year. We had, as most of you know, a warm winter, late winter coming into early spring. And the result of that is if you didn't do anything fall or you didn't spray a little bit earlier in spring, and you decided, okay, I'm just going to wait and do it all, when I get a chance to do that, or weather caused you to have to delay, we've got some Burndown situations like this, and especially Marestail. I'm not sure that we've ever seen Marestail this large this time of year, which creates sort of a unique Burndown situation in itself. The point of this video really is just to remind you that even with new soybean trait technology, where one of the things that you're hearing from the companies advocating that use of that technology is, hey, you don't have to wait to plant. So you can spray 2,4-D or you can spray dicamba. You can plant immediately. And if you're having the type of year when, we come into late April, mid to late April, and it stays relatively dry and you can plant, you haven't done anything fall to control your weeds, and you can plant, spray and plant still relatively early, that can all work pretty well. But just because you can do that doesn't mean that that's really what you should do. And I think this is an example of why you might want to reconsider that somewhat and still consider the fall application and an earlier spring application of Burndown and residual, right? And so the issue is, as we move later into May, we have large Marestail plants in fields, especially those not treated in the fall. We're sitting under a period of wet conditions right now and cool conditions when the Marestail is going to continue to get larger and tougher to kill, and it's going to be a while before we can get in some fields. So really, what's the issue with our Burndown programs now again, and how can we modify that? And the issue really is in a lot of the mixes that we typically use early season on Marestail, Glyphosate 2,4-D with a residual, or Glyphosate Sharpen with a residual Pro, you've got one component in there working on the Marestail because you're not getting any help from the glyphosate. And as we get into larger plant situations, you're still going to start to see more variability in control. We pretty typically see in the Glyphosate 2,4-D start to fail on larger plants. Glyphosate Sharpen can hang in there a little better, but you're going to start to see residual. Adding metribuzin to any of this can help, especially with the Sharpen. This time of the season, adding metribuzin to the 2,4-D glyphosate's probably not going to do it on larger plants. And also bumping the 2,4-D rate, even if you can do it, and wait to plant, is probably not going to be enough on those larger plants. Some alternative approaches, if you're still going to wait 7 days to plant and keep 2,4-D in the mix, and again, this would be Roundup Ready, Liberty Link, or non-GMO soybeans. The combination of 2,4-D with Sharpen in there with the glyphosate and residual Pro plus 2,4-D can be a good way to go. Gramoxone plus 2,4-D plus metribuzin, and it's important to have all three components in that mix, even though the Gramoxone 2,4-D is carrying most of the load. On the Marestail, the metribuzin really does help that round that out on all the other weeds that are going to be out there, and the same thing can be said for the Glyphosate or Liberty plus 2,4-D plus metribuzin. That last mix can be a little bit weak on other large no-till weeds, depending on what other residual you use in there. And keep in mind also, if you're using Liberty Link soybeans, if you use glyphosate in the Burndown, that can limit how much you can use post-emergence later. Any of these are going to be helped with the inclusion of metribuzin, which works really well with Sharpen, Gramoxone, and glyphosate especially. The issue with the residuals, the other issue with the residuals is trying to round that out and get broader spectrum residual than just from metribuzin and still use one of those mixes. Right, so keep in mind the restrictions on Sharpen. So if you're going to use an ounce of Sharpen, it's 14 days before planting if you're going to mix it with any product containing Valor, Authority, or Famecifin. You can modify that. So if you're going to wait 7 days but not 14, you need to modify your residual. You could do something like a Canopy or Cloak DF plus metribuzin, right, to get the Climuron in there to help you with residual control of other weeds. It won't help on ALS-resistant Marestail. Or Matador plus metribuzin, and you have the same situation there where you've got some pursuit in the Matador that rounds it out for residual on other weeds, but really doesn't help on the Marestail very much. The ounce of Sharpen contributes a little bit of control. So keep in mind, again, one of the things is trying to get metribuzin in there. You get some metribuzin already in the Canopy or Cloak and the Matador, so adding a little bit more, another 5 or 6 ounces or something like that can work out pretty well. Of course, if you're using something like a Gramoxone metribuzin or Glyphosate metribuzin 2,4-D, you're not limited really on your residual there. If you can't wait to plant, then your options sort of narrow somewhat. You still have some effective options, although the cost may go up. And the big thing here is, of course, 2,4-D falls out. Glyphosate or Liberty works really well with Sharpen and the Sharpen that's in Zidua Pro. especially when it's applied with metribuzin. That's still something that's probably going to work pretty well across a range of Marestail sizes and other weed populations in a no-till field. If you drop that back to gramoxone in with the Zidua Pro or Sharpen with the metribuzin, it's not quite as effective. Glyphosate plus metribuzin alone, or Liberty plus metribuzin alone, can still be effective on Marestail. You're going to start to see some variability in larger plants, and also that's going to struggle a little bit with the rest of the large no-till weeds. And the same thing can be said for gramoxone metribuzin, which is not near as effective compared to having 2,4-D there, especially in larger weed populations. For any of these, you really want to be up at 20 gallons per acre. Hopefully we're going to have some dense weed situations, and make sure you use the right nozzles for contact products. And our previous comments about the other residuals and restrictions apply here as well. If you've planted extend beans, we've had generally good luck with dicamba killing Marestail, even fairly large ones. You can increase the dicamba rate for larger weeds off that base rate, depending on which dicamba product you're using. And then residuals can reduce dicamba activity. We have seen for a larger Marestail at the base dicamba rate some antagonism of Valor Authority, and I think even sometimes metribuzin with the dicamba. So again, bumping the rate can compensate for that somewhat. You obviously have the ability to come back post-emergence with more dicamba and extend beans if you need to. And again, when we talk about dicamba here, we're talking about the 3 approved products, Extendamax, Ingenia, or Fexapan, and the rest of the restrictions apply. You make sure you check the websites for approved tank mixes and things like that. Just a reminder, you can check our blog for more information. We typically put some things on there on Marestail and keep you updated through the season. And then also, especially regard to this situation, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at the email and phone number shown on the screen here.